Good morning. Trying a new route today. So my plan is to get to the town of March, which is out in the fens, 25 miles away from home. And this is kind of my first stop. So I'm at the I can't remember what this place is called now. But I'm down at the riverside near Peterborough, alongside the River Nene. And so part of my route is basically following this initially to Whittlesea, and then through Whittlesea, and then further out towards March. The reason why I've planned this route in such a way, I've never ridden this route. Well, I have ridden as far as Whittlesea, but I've never ridden the whole route. And the logic behind it is that there's a station at Whittlesea, there's a station at March, so if I'm stuck or stranded or whatever, I can get home. But also I am going to be, when I get to March, I am going to be hopping the train back anyway, so hopefully it's not too full and I can get my bike on. But not the end of the world, because worst thing comes to worst, I have a rest and I cycle back. But this will be 25 miles, possibly a bit more, because I might have a little ride around March, have a ride around the old railway line and up north past Whitemoor prison and everything, where the old yard was, and part of the yard still is. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm off the main roads now. I've gone through the city centre. I don't like filming in the city centre, too many people about, but I'm basically just gonna keep heading. If I can point right, no, I can't point right, that way. Anyway, onwards. Moo, moo, moo. On the route towards Whittlesea, and stumbled across a pillbox. Very dark in here. But of course, during the war, had Operation Sea Lion happened, this would have been one of the lines of defence for East Anglia. So we've got quite a few of these hidden about, often following the river. So yeah, these are interesting. So I've transited through Whittlesea. Quite a lot of, not so much traffic, but main roads to contend with, so you'll have to excuse me for the lack of footage. But still following the GPS, and it's taken me along this trail, which is putting my gravel riding skills to the test at the moment. But it's a few black clouds about, but I don't think we're due any rain, and even if so, I don't think it will last very long anyway. I could do with a little bit of cooling down. It's absolutely roasting. Well, I'm roasting anyway. So how far have I come? Let's have a look at the GPS. So I have done 12 miles, which means I'm nearly halfway, which I'm quite happy with. Not too much in terms of climbing. I mean, I'm out in the fens. It's, as you can see, it's all flat as a pancake out there. There's nothing to it. I do have to apologise if there is any wind noise. I've not packed my microphones because I want to travel as light as I can today. However, yeah, I think I'm just going to keep pushing on and pushing on, and I will film again when, well, when it's when I'm a bit further along and it's safe to stop and do so. So yeah, let's continue with this rutted trail for about another 200 meters or so. So it's doesn't look too bad, but it's giving the Schwalbies a bit of a test. But so far so good. Anyway, onwards. I'm a gravel rider and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I ride all day. Ha! This is quite fun. Doing actual off-road gravel. And I'm enjoying it. This is actually a bit more interesting than long straight roads. So I've made it to Ring's End. Just got a mile or two to go that way, and I'm in March, where I can hop a train and get the hell home. This is the old goods shed. So so the line ran out at the top end of March through Whitemoor and up through here, up towards Guyherne up there. So I'm just taking 5, and my distance is currently 22 miles so far. So I think by the time I get to March Station it'll be about 25 miles. So far so good. I also want to point out the signal gantry which is up there. I think this is an original railway building as well, but yeah, this is all at Ring's End, and now going across the river towards Whitemoor Prison, one of the most secure in the country. So I'm riding through the nature reserve now. So what's so important about Whitemoor? Well, I'm coming up to one which is actually a memorial site. So let me just stop the bike and jump off and show you. There's some plaques here, one for the Scout group, and this is planted for the Platinum Jubilee. Let's go over to the memorial itself. So Sergeant George R. Bruce, 929001, pilot. Sergeant Percival M. Taylor, 1007315, second pilot. Sergeant Percy G. Crosby, 923910, wireless operator. Sergeant Henry N. O'Shea, 99820, observer. Sergeant Ernest A. Lawrence, 1378013, air gunner. Sergeant William M. Evans, 99623, air gunner. Corporal James C. Fox, 956797, ground crew. Sergeant Jack Dix, 936940, ground crew. And this is a memorial. This memorial is dedicated to the crew of Wellington Mark 1C Z8863KO-G of 115 Squadron, crashed here on November 24th, 1941, with the loss of all crew. It's lovely and quiet out here. This is a memorial bench. This plaque is dedicated to the eternal memory of Albert Harwin, who without regard to his own safety went to the aid of the crew of Wellington bomber Z8863 on the 24th of November 1941. That's 115 Squadron Royal Air Force, despite the elements. And this is about the Wellington bomber. During a training exercise on November 24th, 1941, a Vickers Wellington of 115 Squadron based at RAF Marham, when it collided with a line of coal-laden railway trucks at approximately 160 to 200 miles an hour, and subsequently all 9 crew members died. To this day, the reason for the low flying is uncertain, although there are a few reports. All that is known is that 3 of the crew were ground staff that joined the flight for some experience. Further information on the crew and aircraft can be found at RAF Marham and RAF Wittering Heritage Centres. That's the Wellington bomber, the precursor to the Lancaster. This tree is for Gordon S. Wakefield, AC2 121 5618, ground crew. I try not to show too much joy in this sort of place. It's very sombre, it's very quiet. Lovely for a bit of reflection, I think. But rest in peace, chaps. Rest in peace. So of course, as well as that memorial, Whitemoor was a rail yard, and during the war it was, I'm not sure if it was the biggest, but I think it was either the second biggest or one of the biggest anyway, shunting yards. And in fact, during the war there was actually a dummy yard set up. I'm not entirely sure where the dummy yard was, not too far away, to try and attract the bombers, because Whitemoor was a major shunting yard for the eastern region. So things coming from Anglia and a lot of the Great Eastern Railway and the Midland and Great Northern, etc., a lot of the shunting would have been done here. It was like a great big interchange, which is why it would be quite attractive to the bombers. So it lasted I think up to the 80s, I think, and then it was, part of it's been closed down. The yard as it stands is now sort of half its size. There is still a rail yard there, but the northern half has the infamous Whitemoor prison set up, built on it, which houses some proper nasties. So, fun fact, I've actually been inside Whitemoor prison. There it is, the great big walls of Whitemoor prison. Yeah, I'm not going to film too much, as you can probably understand, but yeah, it's there. This is the somewhat mothballed Bramley line, which leads from Whitemoor Junction and heads up towards Wisbeach. Now a lot of the track is still kind of in situ, it's sort of mothballed, and they keep talking about reopening it, and I got about 1,000 cars coming past me now. It was quiet a minute ago, but yeah, no idea what they're doing with it. It's just sort of mothballed. It's a lot of the infrastructure's been kind of ripped up in terms of the signalling, but in terms of reopening it, I don't think it would actually require that much work. And there is a heritage group with a yard further up the line. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm entering the Fenland market town of March. back in Peterborough now. I'm just heading back home from the station. I'm going to cut the end of the video here because not much else to put, but I made it, and maybe I'll do a bit more explanation when I get in. Hi there. So I'm just editing this up. As you can see, I'm completely exhausted. I can actually see some of the salt coming off of my head. Anyway, so there was the 25 miles which I've done to March. I actually hopped the train, headed back to Peterborough, and then there was a further 4 or 5 miles which I needed to do to get back home. So all in all, I've done roughly about 30 miles today. I'm kind of exhausted, but I'm not completely dead, if you know what I mean. So, like, how to put this, I could have gone further. I could have kept going, and I was actually really enjoying the ride. So the bike has performed admirably. The tyres and everything were great on the gravel surfaces, and the actual route itself was quite safe. I didn't have to contend with too much traffic or anything. There's a few bits where I did, but actually I was relatively safe, and I actually enjoyed this quite a lot. The other thing to add with this is I actually took the train back, and I didn't actually have to book my bike. However, it's obviously first come first serve. If you've booked the bike, then you get the priority and whatnot. But thankfully, back from March, it's not too much of a problem. There was adequate space for me to get my bike on the train. The train cost me £9 something, which was essentially an on-the-gate ticket. I didn't pre-book or anything, so that was actually quite pain-free. I don't know what else really what to say about that. It was absolutely fine. I just stood on the train with my bike. It was on one of the Class 170s, the cross-country ones, which was actually going back to Leicester. But I was only going one hop across from March back to Peterborough. Once back in Peterborough, hop on the bike, straight up the bike path to back home. So it's relatively straightforward. I hoped you've really enjoyed this ride out with me. This is kind of I want to make this more of a normal ride. Doing 25 miles, I want that to be normal for me. So and I'm getting a lot better at it. But anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in another video very, very soon. Ta-ta for now. 22 miles so far. So I think by the time I get to March station it'll be about 25 miles. So far so good. I'm sweating a lot as well.